In this tutorial I'm going to explain to you how to convert a PDF template file into a silhouette portrait cutting file, and then how to cut with it. We are going to use a little project the wife made herself, which is this little house which she made for the family dog that has a friend next door, and this is his little friend, and the side is like this. She used punches for those leaves and the fence, etc., and that she cut out by hand. In fact, she cut everything out by hand. That's the reason why I bought her now the machine, so she wouldn't have this tedious work anymore. The box is open, the roof can be taken off, and she was stuffing it with doggy treats, of course, and little dog's name Amber, got it that for Halloween. She used the same template to make a house with for the neighbors, a little different. Of course, they didn't get doggy treats, they got chocolate chip cookies, and she also made a card that looks a little bit the same. So that is a project we are talking about. Now let's first start with our PDF file. That's a PDF file the wife designed herself, so there's no copyright problems that I'm using that here. And she drew it on paper, and then we scanned it in. The first thing you want to do when you open your PDF file, you want to make sure that it is to true size, actual size. Now I'm using the Foxit PDF reader here. I'm sure in Adobe, which most people use, but I don't, it's similar. I have a button here where I can set it to actual size, but if you don't have that button, you can go to the View tab up here and to Zoom, and under Zoom you have actual size, and when I click that, you will see it reduces it because the last time I used it at a different size. That's important because if you don't start out with actual size, your later picture will not fit into the window of the Silhouette program. So that's very important. Okay, first action we do on that here is, and only real action, is we go to Tools, and we take a snapshot, and then we move over back here and click on the picture, and it tells us the selected area, which is the whole PDF picture, has been copied to the clipboard, and that's okay. So we're already done with our PDF board. Now with this copied picture, which is on the clipboard, you know that the computer always uses when you do copy paste, we have to paste it someplace in order to convert it, and for that we use Paint. The Paint program is on all Windows systems. If you don't have it in your Start menu, you go to All Programs, you go to Accessories. Where are they? They're here. You go to Accessories, and here's your Paint program. Now if you use it more often, you may want to pin it to the Start menu, or like in my case, I'm using Windows 7, I could also pin it to the taskbar, but I have it on the Start menu, so my option is to unpin it, which of course I don't want to do. But you can pin it to the Start menu, but I'm going to start it right from here. Okay, now here the Paint program has a paste button, and you click that paste button and you get your picture in the Paint window. Very good. Now that we want to store as a PNG file, which is a picture file. There's three types of picture files that are common. JPEG, which is the most common one, PNG, and TIFF. The advantage of PNG is it has a lot more pixels than the JPEG. You could do it in JPEG, but you may have later a little problem because if the drawing is faint, it may not show up very nicely. So PNG is the next one. So you go up to the blue button here, and you go to Save As. Now I know you're not going to see the Save As. Trust me, I click on Save As right now, and we go to the desktop. So if you're not on the desktop already, you click Desktop, and we give this thing a name, and we call it House. And Mine is set to PNG per default, but if you don't have PNG here in the save as type, you go down to click here on the blue area, go down to PNG and click on that, and then it will do the PNG port, and you save it, and that's already all that. So preparations are done. We will now go into the Silhouette Studio program, and we will open that, and hopefully it will open quickly. Yes, it did. Very nice. Okay, the first thing we want to do is to open our PNG file here. So we go up to the File tab here and say Open, and we happen to be on desktop again, but no PNG file can be seen. No. That's because the Silhouette program only shows Silhouette Studio files, but that's easy to fix. We go down here and we enable PNG, and now it should be there, probably the last one. Okay, here it is, and we double click on our PNG house, and there's our PNG house. Okay, the first thing we do now is to convert it to a cut file, and you go to this little icon here, all the way up here. There's groups of icons. That's the second group from the right, and the rightmost in there. You click on that, and the first thing you do is up here you select the trace area. Okay, click on that, and then you can select the trace area. Now here it's pretty nicely shown, so you just take that. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's so exact. Doesn't have to be too exact. And you will see it comes out with little yellow lines that you can hardly see, and those you go to trace outer edge. Do not use trace, and I'll explain to you later why this is going to get you into trouble. And by the way, there's a red X. Trace the outer edge, and you click that, and now you have traced the outer edge, which is, you know, the outer edge of the house. Now all this stuff here in the middle is still from the original picture, which is actually sitting on top of here. So you left click and move this old picture away, and then you right click and you delete it because we don't need that anymore. Now you have all the outer edge. I will show you later that if you want something cut out in the middle, like a window or so, how this is being done, but we'll stay with that for the time being. Now the first thing you want to do, now you have, this is actually the cutting file. The first thing you want to do is save that in your library. So you go to File, and somewhere here is Save in Library, which you see here, Save to Library, and you give it a name, and we called it House, and you say OK, and it is saved. Okay, now if you go to your library, again you can go to File and My Library, and you have to go My Own Designs, not to recent downloads. I haven't downloaded anything. You go to My Own Designs, and I have nothing in here really. Here's your house, which is saved, so at least it's safe. Okay. Now next, what you do with that is, maybe we should have done that before. You want to check whether it actually fits into the cutting window, and there is no problem here. It fits into the cutting window. And the next, you go to this icon here in the right group, which looks like a blade, and with this icon you can make the setting depending on the cardstock you're using. And if you happen to know what the setting is, you just you know, advance this here depending on what you want to cut. If you don't know, let's say we use pattern paper, because up here there is a whole lot of different paper selections. Let's say you use pattern paper, you just click on pattern paper, and pattern paper apparently is cutting with the number 3 setting. If you use glitter cardstocks, probably more. Oh yeah, glitter cardstock needs a number 6, etc. So you can make the setting here. Now it tells you cut here, but we are not going to cut here. We are going to go and send it to Silhouette. We're going to send it to Silhouette, this cut file. Okay, again, File, Send to Silhouette, which is here. And now it just tells you again, please put the page into the cutting mat, on the cutting mat, and it tells you again what your settings are. And if you want to change them, you can go back to it with this link here, and then load the cutting mat into the Silhouette, of course, and then you click cut and it will cut. Now I can't cut because it says here couldn't connect to the Silhouette because the Silhouette is actually connected to my wife's phone PC and not to my PC. But that is about all we want to do with this. Now, since it was so nice, we're going to also do the roof. Do you want to save the changes? Well, I saved it in the library, so I guess I don't want to save it. We'll do the roof. Now, those are all very simple. Of course, very simple templates, and they could be easily cut with scissors, but for demonstration purposes, and since I had this that the wife made herself, I choose that one. I'm using this because I want to show you something a little different on this one. Let's do the same thing again. We go to View, and we go to Zoom and check actual size. Now it is actual size still from the last time we use it, and we go to Tools and we take a snapshot, we click, and we know it's on the clipboard now, so we're done with this. Oops. Oh, I guess I have to say okay, else it won't respond. Okay, and we go to our paint program. This time I'm gonna take it right from my start menu and paste it, and then save it. And again, you don't see save as, but there is save as here, and we call it the roof. That's the roof. Okay, and it is set to PNG, and we save it to the desktop, and we're already done with the preparatory work. And here's the house and here's the roof. Okay, let me make a little bit of order into this here. This is the house, this is the roof, and we'll look how all the roof looks like. Okay, beautiful. Now we open our Silhouette Studio again. Okay, let's go. Yeah, and we go to File and Open. And again, we have to activate PNG. We click on the little arrow and activate PNG. And then now we have, of course, two files, the house PNG and the roof PNG, but we want the roof this time. So this is the roof PNG. Okay, so now we are going to make a cut file out of it. Here is the cut file icon. We'll first trace it, so we'll trace around both of them, make it easy. We could do both of them separately, but we'll trace around both of them. And then trace the outer edge. The advantage is also, if you trace the outer edge, that all this writing here in the middle and the score lines and what have you, they all disappear. But what doesn't disappear, as you can see, is these comments you wrote on the side. So we'll delete that. Here again, let me show you how I did this. You move it by holding the left clicker down, and then you can move it, and you just delete it. Where's delete? Somewhere's here. Okay. Where's delete? We can delete it. Now we have a little problem because we would cut out all this text also, which of course we don't want. So we have to eliminate this text. And how do we do that? Well, first we go up here where it says plus and minus, a little magnifying glasses, and make this a little bigger, because else it will be a little finagly. And we will use this icon here, which is an eraser under the A here. We click on that eraser, and then we can erase all this stuff. spot. Well, I, I damaged the actual template. Not a big deal. Control and Z, and everything is back to normal. Uh, of course, all the work I've done before is gone also. That's why you want to interrupt from time to time. Uh, I'm holding the left clicker down, but every time you release it, you start a new task, so to speak. So when you make a mistake, like, oh, okay, now I released it, now I click it again. If you make a mistake like this, you, for example, erase a little corner, Control and Z, and it's back. It's not a big deal. Okay, now let's put this back with a minus here to normal size, and let's use this here. Oh, first of all, we want to go back here and click on the select arrow, because else we have this eraser all the time. And now this we can, oh, there is some dots that we didn't erase. So let's see, we erase this and this. This was easy to do without making it bigger. And we go back to our select button here, so that the eraser is being discontinued. So this is our cut file, and of course we would store it again in our library. So save to library, and we call it roof, and we store it in the library. Okay, and then we can go ahead and cut with that. So that is pretty easy to do. And remember, to cut with it, you send it to Silhouette, and then you can cut with it. Again, I assume that your settings are still the same, but if they're not the same, you can change them. Okay, now let me show you a couple of things that are maybe interesting. Let's first get a new page here, and let's go to the library. Where is my library? It's down here, my library. And let me get this one here. I kept this because that was a mistake the way I made it. Let me see whether it actually did not. Oops, now I got it. Okay, I can show you two things here. First of all, here you have those cutouts. That's a chair, by the way, and that's a backrest of the chair. You have those cutouts, and if you bring this in and you go to your trace outer edge button, well, it will trace the outer edge around here, and it will not trace those. So if you have something in the middle, like on the house, there could have been a window or something, what you want to do, you want to select the trace area around those items that are inside that you want to trace, and then trace outer edge for those. So then you say trace outer edge, and then you get those areas also traced. Now on this particular one, which was my first attempt, don't forget we don't have this machine since more than a week, I made a big mistake because I used trace, not knowing what this will do, and it produced a mess. Let me show you what it did, and I have to make it. See, it made two trace lines, because we were wondering, why does it cut out twice? Well, it cut out this trace line and it cut out this trace line, because when you say trace, it thinks you want to cut out this line, and it made a horrible mess, because now you had this itty bitty thin smidget of paper all over the cutting mat, and it was no fun to take off. So I warn you, this is not the way to do it. So stay away from trace if you want to actually make a template. You only want the outer edges, and as I have explained, if something is inside, then you have to deal with that separately, as on this chart here. Okay, this is more or less all I know, and all I can convey to you. But I thought I make a little tutorial because when we started we looked on the internet and there were quite a few tutorials about this matter, but most of them were very confusing and some of them were in a foreign language that fortunately I understood but you may not understand. And so I thought, since it is so really simple, that I just put this together so that you can benefit from it. Thank you. So we'll discard. When I was watching the video, I discovered that I made a little mistake. So I will make this little addendum to correct the mistake. When I was showing you how to actually check up here the the registration marks, which means the part to check the part that is being cut, which is within the cut window. I forgot to check this little box here to show you that. See, now you have the little box here which shows the registration marks, and you see that my cut file is well within those registration marks, because on the very outer edges of the sheet the machine cannot cut. Actually, I mean, it's only this one here, because this is the file end here where these corners are. So you want to make sure that you don't go with your picture or with your PDF or PNG file all the way to the extreme edge, because the machine apparently cannot cut at this extreme edge. Well, that's all I wanted to add, and we'll take it from there. I'm sorry for the confusion. All this stuff, and we will stop.